Welcome to the United States of Small Business, a podcast where the essence of American entrepreneurship is celebrated in every episode. With host John Quick at the helm, join us as we embark on a journey through the heart of the nation, uncovering the inspiring stories of small business owners from coast to coast. Experience the vibrant energy of bustling cities and the serene beauty of small towns, all while discovering how individuals are turning their entrepreneurial dreams into reality, even against the greatest odds. Each episode brings you face to face with the dreamers, creators, and doers who form the economic backbone of our country, all sharing their spirit of innovation and resilience. Whether you are in the early stages of sowing the seeds for your own business, scaling new heights in your current venture, or simply captivated by tales of grit and triumph, you are in the right place. Tune in on platforms like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and beyond. For deeper insights and to connect with the heart and soul of America's main streets, visit UnitedStatesOfSmallBusiness.com. Subscribe to United States of Small Business with host John Quick now and be inspired by the powerful stories of entrepreneurship, community, and the unwavering pursuit of the American dream. Begin your journey of inspiration with us today.
Hello and welcome back to the United States of Small Business podcast, your go-to podcast for the stories behind successful entrepreneurs. I'm your host, John Quick. Today, we're excited to have Lisa Ealy, HR expert and co-founder of HR for Profit, joining us. Lisa has dedicated over 3 decades to the field of human resources, transforming her deep knowledge into strategies that drive business success. In today's episode, Lisa shares how she transformed from a corporate HR leader to an entrepreneurial strategist, her crucial advice for business owners, and when and how to effectively implement HR practices. I'm very excited to have Lisa with us today. So, Lisa, without further ado, welcome to the United States of Small Business podcast.
Oh, thanks so much, John. I appreciate sincerely the invitation to present on your podcast.
Well, this would be fun hearing a little bit about your story and some of the things that you've done along the way and how you're helping entrepreneurs. But let's just dive in. Tell me about how HR for Profit was started and why you started it.
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I will say this, it really started way back when I was a Girl Scout. And I sold the last box of Girl Scout cookies, which I guess there was like an omen at the time related to that or something. But it took me a few tries to sell the last box in the bunch. And this was back when you really walked around as a Girl Scout from door to door. We didn't have the big boxes where we could set up in front like they do now. And it was something about winning from selling something and convincing someone that what I had, they needed. And if I fast forward, I had a career of over 25 years in human resources, and I got to see real close and in person the impact that people can make in a positive way on your business and also in a very challenging way. And this really led me to create HR for Profit so that I could help small businesses to grow, scale, and build teams for profit and not just worry so much about the cost of the people.
That's awesome. And I think typically HR is probably one of the last things somebody that owns a couple coffee shops or an online business thinks about. So tell me what that looks like typically for a founder, a CEO, a business owner that calls you up or emails you or sends you a DM and says, I need help with HR. What does that typically look like in terms of an engagement in that process?
Yeah, so typically, the majority of the people that initially we consult with have some sort of problem or challenge or issue, unfortunately. There is also a portion of individuals who are pre planning. But one of the last clients I'd say that we've worked with pretty big, they had a very large contract that they were awarded, but they had not read all of the fine print related to compliance as it related to its people, having job descriptions, an employee handbook, having required compliance training, reviewing some of the training that even the agency that awarded them the contract had as requirements. And they were facing a deadline and they would lose the contract, which was obviously a big deal. And so a lot of clients come to us because there's some issue looming, or maybe they need to terminate, they're afraid to terminate, or maybe they're afraid that they've terminated someone and the person may sue or come back at them in some way. Or maybe they've had received notification from an attorney or Department of Labor if the employee is seeking some damages of some sort. So, those are some of the ways. The ideal way that we prefer to work with clients is before they really have a need, and you're like, I want to get a checkup. It's kind of like going to the dentist. You need to get your HR checkup, your HR audit to start planning where you should be and where you are, identifying your gaps. And we help small businesses to close those gaps so that they don't run into those issues.
That's awesome. So, you had a great career before you started this business. What were some of the lessons that you learned being in this field for so many years? I'm sure that there are quite a few lessons. What were some of those that you remember the most?
Yeah, so I'm gonna share this, but I'm gonna start with a quote. So Richard Branson says, train people well enough so that they can leave, but treat them well enough so that they won't want to. And at the end of the day, I do believe that it's our it's our obligation as employers to continue to invest in the team, because literally the people that are operating our businesses are our assets. And when you do that, we'll, I'll mention something like ChatGPT. If you make an investment in your team to learn more about the tool, well, they're going to make an investment back in your business, and you're going to get the benefit of productivity, new ideas, um, ease of implementing projects and programs, answering questions, all kinds of things. So for me, what I've learned over the years in big and small businesses and enterprises is that you got to make a commitment to invest in your people and treat them well.
That's awesome. I think that sometimes we think that our employees will work as hard as the owner, and they don't own the business. So I think it's one of the very important things to do is to keep pouring into those employees so that they feel valued. So I really appreciate those thoughts. So you have a number of tools. If somebody goes to your website, um, it's pretty awesome. You have a couple guides, you have a couple assessments. Tell me about these tools and why you developed them. Like, my guess is that you've kind of wrapped up all your experience into these tools to help other folks, but oftentimes these are little golden nuggets for entrepreneurs to be able to grasp onto, to maybe take a look at later, or feel like they have maybe time down the road to complete. Talk to me about some of your tools that you've created.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the latest tool that I have. I authored a book. It's entitled Profit Amplified: HR Strategies Every Small Business Owner Entrepreneur Must Master. And the reason why I did it is because I know for me and my own business and the businesses that we've shown the way is that if you make the proper investments and the proper decisions to build and scale your team, then you can profit from those individuals. And so it's simple as just have everyone having a sales goal. So that's one tool. There's also the assessment, which really helps you to understand, like, where are you on your roadmap towards hiring, making your first hire, making additional hires, or even changing the structure of your team. And so that's what the assessment does. In addition to that, there is a guide to help you to really understand how do you build a profitable team, right? And so the guide really goes through the blueprint. And I'll say this, it's an amazing resource. And if you follow it step by step, you're going to get at least a picture of where you should be and what are the gaps that you need to close as it relates to some of the things that we're talking about: compliance, job descriptions, job posts, training, onboarding, offboarding, team building, leadership, right? And making sure that you're compliant beyond just the handbook policies and procedures, but also making sure that your business is adhering to the legalities, I'd say, based on your state, your region, your county, whatever is applicable. And as of late, those things keep changing and ever evolving so quickly. And it's real simple to be out of compliant and to have one issue. For example, if you have employees and you are using the incorrect I-9, or if you haven't updated your I-9 since some of the changes happened in the fall of last year, then one instance could be $10,000. And that's one thing wrong on the I-9, not the entire document. So if you have 5 things wrong, it could be $50,000 or more. And so these are issues that could take your business out. And this is why I really stand in the gap to help small business owners to avoid those penalties.
That's awesome. Yeah, nobody wants a $50,000 fine. What are, there's probably a lot of folks that you've looked up to along the way, but tell me about one of them. Who's somebody that you've looked up to in this space maybe and been kind of a hero to you, and why?
That's a really good question. Um, I'm going to say currently the head of SHRM, Society of Human Resources Managers. And so it's a society that many HR leaders belong to. And Johnny Taylor is the lead of that. And one of the things that I've admired about what he's done as the president and CEO of SHRM is really advancing the practice of HR, partnering with universities, and also creating new tools and platforms to make our jobs easier, right? And really just embracing innovation in a new and encouraging way. So I'd say Johnny Taylor for sure, who is the president and CEO of SHRM.
That's awesome. So what's you're kind of circling back. I think you've given some awesome practical tips and advice for entrepreneurs in the HR realm. What do you think one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs or small business owners forget about when it comes to HR and they're starting their business and they're, figuring out how to keep the lights on and sell cookies or, coffee or whatever it is? What do you think the number one thing about kind of missing the mark with HR is, as you've talked to people in all walks
Yeah,
of life?
yeah, that's a great question. One of the things I would say is I find that many employers, small business owners, are one of two things. They're reluctant to hire help. And when I say help, a team, it doesn't mean a full-time employee, but even to have um, contractors or part-time assistants because they're afraid of like the sticker related to that. But one of the things is that I found in working with small businesses that really helps lead to profit is that you do need to have help, because if you're spending too much time working in the business and not on the business, then it impedes the ability for many businesses to grow and scale properly. In addition to that, I find that individuals are afraid if they do have a team and they have someone who may not necessarily be the best team player, but maybe they have some historical knowledge, or, there's clients that really admire this person or get along with the person well, and they're afraid that if they offboarded or terminated that individual, that they would somehow lose out. And so those are two things, I think: not hiring, and then the second part of it is not releasing individuals who may be toxic to your environment to their next destination soon enough. And so the some people tag this as we hire slow and we fire fast. And
Yeah.
I do think that there is some validity to that statement, but we always want to make sure that we're ethical, that we're legal and compliant as we are offboarding or terminating individuals from our organization.
Well, Lisa, 20 minutes has gone by in a flash here. I'm very grateful that you came on the show. I think that entrepreneurs and small business owners are going to be able to get lots of tips and tricks from listening to the last 20 minutes or so. Do you have any last minute thoughts here before we head off? Floor is yours.
Yeah, at the end. Oh, yeah. So that's great. So, what I would say is make sure, just like you do with, legal and other aspects like IT, cybersecurity, HR is like it's a secret weapon. So make sure that you have access to an experienced HR professional that understands small business, that can help you build and scale for profit.
Well, that's awesome. Folks listening in, if you just caught the tail end here, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to the whole thing. We'll put a link into the podcast description. The website is hrforprofit.com, and she's on social media as well with the tag HR for Profit on Instagram. We'll put the links in the podcast description, and really just some great helpful advice for folks that have small businesses or probably even medium-sized businesses and large businesses as it comes to HR and what you should or shouldn't do. Really encourage you all to go take a look at the website and give Lisa a call if your business is in need of some HR relief. I really appreciate you joining us. And folks, I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. Until next time, I'm John Quick from the United States of Small Business Podcast. Thanks so much, Lisa, for joining us.